Hello, hi everyone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's a great pleasure for me to welcome each one of you to our fifth episode of How to Deliver a TEDx Talk. This episode is presented to you by PlanetSpark TV Live. And as you all know, we go live every Monday to Friday from 7:15 to 8:15 p.m. And what we basically do in these series of episodes is we basically empower you with all kinds of tools, tactics, and methodologies you need to become a more confident, a more charismatic, and a more competent public speaker. Now, basically, Planet Spark aims at empowering young guns with the confidence, the tactics, and the exuberance they need to become confident, not just as creative writers, but also as public speakers. And all these episodes that we present to you under PSTV Live basically is in alignment with this vision of actually creating the next generation of public speakers and creative writers. Reminds me of what Swami Vivekananda had once said. Education is the process of development and refinement of mind, man making, character building, life building, assimilating fine ideas and making them your life and character. And that's something that Planet Spark aims at delivering at every given opportunity. So through the courses we offer, through the workshops, through the community events, through PSTV Live, the aim basically is to produce a holistic learning experience for all our viewers across all age groups. And I am your presenter, your host, Swaima Ahmed. By profession, I happen to be an entrepreneur, a public speaker, a soft skill trainer, an event manager, and also a TED speaker. I've had the honor of conducting 3,000 plus workshops in the areas of public speaking, creative writing, confidence building, communication skills, body language, etc., etc. I've also had the honor of winning 500 plus debate and elocution competitions representing India at various international youth festivals as an Indian delegate for debate and elocution. Ladies and gentlemen, coupled with this, I've also had the honor of basically delivering a TED Talk titled Becoming Forever Fierce. And this talk basically is all about how do you inculcate a deep sense of confidence in your personality using some practical, potent, and powerful ideas. So that's about me, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for having faith in me. And in the last 4 episodes of this series, we basically began with what exactly is a TED Talk. We moved on to the fundamentals of a TED Talk. And then the first 5 days, the first 4 days were all about, number one, we discussed at length about the opening minute. How do you open your speech? We talked about the big purpose. We talked about how to incorporate facts and figures. And then basically, to make it really easy and simple for you, we tried having a theme in every episode so that you don't really get perplexed. We know the TED world happens to be phenomenal, and we have almost every topic that we can cover under a TED Talk. And that's the reason why we didn't really want you to be confused with this volume, with this vividness of TED world. And that is why we have chosen a theme for each episode. So the first 3 episodes were based on self-confidence. Yesterday's episode was primarily based on climate crisis. And today, let's see what we have in store for you. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode on how to deliver a TEDx talk. Now, as you see on the screen, we have something exciting in store for you today. Number one, we'll be starting off with some icebreakers as usual. We'll move on to the fundamentals of a TED talk. Moving on to today's topic, a big purpose, essentials of a big purpose, and we'll be discussing 3 essentials basically. Essential 1, essential 2, essential 3 based on what we need to be knowing today on day 5. Coupled with this, so we'll have loads of fun with games like Who Said This, Fastest Fingers. I'm going to give you some questions at the end to actually ponder over and summarize. And eventually we end with a recommendation of a TED video that you need to be watching today after the episode so that you get closer to the vision of the TED world. So that is what we'll be doing today. That's what we have in store for you, boys and girls. Moving on, Let's talk about the icebreakers. Let's get to know each other now. I'm going to ask you some questions, and I would really appreciate if you drop down your comments in the comment section. The first one, never have I ever slept during a lecture. I'm sure we all did, right? Especially during those early morning boring lectures, the subjects we've been least interested in. All right, let's move on to the next one. Never have I ever fought over my favorite toys. Been there? Absolutely. We've all been through this phase as toddlers. We know how there was this deep sense of possession in us while, playing or socializing. The next one. Never have I ever tried imitating my parents. I haven't. Have you? Okay, all right. The next one, boys and girls, never have I ever been to a wildlife sanctuary. I have been to multiple wildlife sanctuaries. I'm sure even you've been. All right, so on that note, it's time for us to quickly understand the fundamentals of today's episode. And this is also the foundation of a TED Talk. A strong opening, a big purpose, a personal touch. So basically, boys and girls, we tried understanding these three fundamentals of a TED Talk day-wise. Day one, we threw light on a strong opening, what a strong opening is all about, how does it look, what does it comprise of, and how do you really make a power-packed opening with some ideas and insights. Day two was all about understanding the big purpose. How do you incorporate a big purpose while delivering your TED Talk? The third day was all about personal touch. How do you actually incorporate a personal touch in your presentations, in your TED Talk? Now, even though we have titled this as TED Talk, let's understand that the rules, the generic idea is to help you understand the structure of any solid presentation. If you look forward to becoming an influential and impactful presenter, orator, public speaker, storyteller, then these ideas remain common to all kinds of public speaking, boys and girls. Even though we have called this a TED Talk, the ideas remain the same for every genre of public speaking. Moving on, my dear participants. What's the topic today? So as you all know, yesterday we had chosen the theme climate crisis. The reason we have this kind of a shift, beginning with self-confidence and then gradually moving on to climate crisis. The reason why we've done this is actually to help you understand that this structure is so lucid and flexible that we can actually adopt it in any theme, in any topic. Whether it's something related to soft skills or hard skills, technical, non-technical, subjective, objective, these ideas, these fundamentals, they are so flexible that they can be incorporated into any topic. So the topic that we had chosen yesterday was climate crisis, and I'm going to continue with the same even today. Let's get started. So a quick glimpse at it. Threat of highly dangerous changes. Threat of highly dangerous changes to climate, to global climate is called climate crisis, climate change. Moving on, the next idea, boys and girls, is what's for today. So day one yesterday, we dealt with the opening minute. How do you deliver a talk on climate crisis using the ideas like number one, a quote, number two, a powerful statement, number three, a positive statement, number four, a question, right? Something to ponder over. And number five was sharing facts and figures based on it. Today, we'll talk about a big purpose. How do you incorporate a big purpose in your mock TED Talk on a topic as current as climate change? All right, so how do we do it? Let's get to know it. All right, so participants, the million-dollar question right now is, why do we need a big purpose to begin with? So the reason we need big purpose is on the screen right now. Two reasons why you need to have a crystal clear purpose while connecting with people. Number one, when you have a crystal clear purpose, you're able to emphasize why a particular topic is important and why everyone needs to focus on it. All right. With your why insight, with your why crystal clear, you're able to manifest the same sense of clarity and coherence while delivering a talk. Let's understand the fact that the more structured your thought processes, the more structured, organized, and polished your presentation will be. It is a domino effect. So the first thing you do is you have to make sure your concepts are clear. And once your concepts are clear, the illustration will be the same. Right? So please make sure, my dear participants, that you know exactly why you're delivering a talk on this particular topic. All right. Why is it relevant? Why is it important? Why is it significant? And you convey the same kind of significance to your audience. All right. And that's how you have to bring things to their attention. Okay. The second one, boys and girls, is bring immediate attention on the relevance of the topic. You need to make sure that you're able to help your audience understand that this topic is relevant. If yes, let's give them solid reasons. Reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. Let's understand the fact that human minds are hardwired for design. Human minds love designs. So once once your presentation is well patterned, well structured, your audience can actually relate to you. So please make sure that you're able to help your audience understand the relevance of a particular topic, a particular theme, by giving them something solid, some evidences, some proofs, or something that they can carry with them. All right. That is how you build credibility. Credibility, how much your audience trusts you. Okay. And this credibility can actually be built or established when your content is solid, lucid, coherent. Please make sure you avoid humbug all the time. It's important you research well and eventually let your audience know the relevance of the topic based on the few ideas. Now, moving on, my dear participants, let's talk a little bit about what exactly is the meaning of a big purpose. So the big purpose basically is your why. Why is this topic relevant? Why is it essential? And there are 3 essentials. 3 things you need to know when you are incorporating a big purpose in your talk. And what are these 3 essentials? Number 1, emphasize on the importance of the topic. Number 2 is break down the topic. How do you do it? I'm going to teach you exactly how to do it in a simple, lucid manner. Number 3, bring it all together. How do you do it? Let's quickly understand these 3 concepts in detail. I'm going to throw light on it one by one using appropriate, relevant examples on climate crisis. All right, so emphasizing the importance, breaking down the structure, and eventually bringing it all together at the end so that you're able to handhold your audience and help them understand the concept. Now, boys and girls, before we continue, let's quickly understand the first essential under big talk, the big purpose. First essential is the importance. How do you bring out the importance? I'm going to give you an example. Well, what you see on the screen right now is every year we witness innumerable natural calamities that claim so many lives. We're also observing a gradual increase in global temperature and how it is impacting the whole world. Right? Now, the reason why you're telling your audience, the reason why I have chosen a topic like climate crisis is primarily because of this. This is the significance of climate crisis. This is the urgency of it. Right? This is how you build the initial rapport with your audience. All right. You build the initial rapport with your audience. Moving on, my dear participants, let's understand the importance with another statement. There are indications. These are the basic indications towards how our planet is slowly succumbing to climate change. And that if we don't act immediately, we shall lose the one and the only planet we have right now. Right? This is how you underline the importance of a topic. All right. Now, the facts can be scarier. They can be truth. And you need to make your audience aware of it. You have to take into cognizance the urgency of the topic so that you convey the same to the audience. Now, before we continue, let me quickly give you an expert tip. Try using different tones of voice while addressing your audience about different issues. While talking about something serious like climate change, try to keep your tone serious. This way, you're able to establish your points more coherently. I'm sure you agree with that. Just the way I'm doing it right now, the moment I talk about climate crisis, some serious, severe repercussion, I slow down. I have a more serious tone, pitch, and temperament. And that's something we need to do because we need to understand public speaking is beyond content, right? It's 7% words, 38% tone of your voice, and 55% body language. Moving on, my dear participants, let me quickly give you a word that you can add to your vocabulary. This is a section that I'm sure most of you love. Add to your vocab. The word is refrain. Refrain basically is a verb in the English language, which means to stop oneself from doing something, to avoid something. For example, he refrained from speaking to the bad boys. He tried avoiding speaking to the bad boys. So to try to avoid something is refrain, refraining from something, avoiding something, making attempt to not do something. That's refrain for you. Moving on, let's quickly play the game Who Said This? And I told you, as a budding public speaker, if you really want to expand your horizons of public speaking, you need to work on your knowledge bank. And how do you do it? You do it by maintaining a journal. And in the journal, please make sure you make a note of the quotes, the anecdotes, the famous lines, short poems, short stories that you learn, memorize, jot down, so that they can be used absolutely in any circumstance. You can use them easily in any circumstance, in a discussion, in an impromptu speech, in a keynote, in, absolutely any kind of a serious communicative setup, boys and girls. So let's quickly talk about the first quote. Here we go. That the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse. Wow, so beautiful. Exquisite. That the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse. This is a beautiful quote by Walt Whitman, right? An American poet. And he's actually composed a phenomenal body of work in the poetry genre. And these are some of the lines from Walt Whitman that you can memorize and use maybe in one of your talks. The next one is, wow, again, a very prominent one. To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist. That is all. Yes, one of my favorites. I remember using this in some of my extemporary speeches. To live is the rarest thing. Most people simply exist. Oscar Wilde, right? Beautiful quote by Oscar Wilde that you may use when you talk about the significance of life or joie de vivre. Let's talk about the next one, boys and girls. I feel 1,000 capacities spring up in me. Once again, I feel 1,000 capacities spring up in me. This is yet again a very prominent quote by Virginia Woolf. Now, I told you when it comes to public speaking and connecting with people and articulating, it's always a fabulous idea to actually quote the literary giants, poets, authors, writers from the literary canon, the classicals, or maybe the contemporary, anyone. But it's always a good idea to quote them, especially if their quotes are relevant. And it takes some hunting and researching, boys and girls. So the toughest thing to do actually while writing your TED Talk, while crafting your speech, is script writing, scripting, especially your opening. Your AGD, attention grabbing device, the quotes, the special statements, the questions. So opening is very impactful. It's colossal and it also takes colossal efforts. Moving on, boys and girls. The next thing is second element. First element was bring out the significance. Second element is break down the topic. How do we do it? Let me explain this to you. Number one, talk about the major causes. Number two, how it affects people. How do you break down the topic? Remember this basic structure, ladies and gentlemen. The best way to break down a topic is cause and effect. Cause and effect, and eventually solution. So, for example, if I consider the example of climate crisis once again, there are many major causes for the changing climate. Let's have a look at the most important ones. Number one, the emission of harmful gases, also called greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, methane. Moving on, number two, the second one is the causes for rising emissions. Burning coal, using of plastic, cutting down forests, which further pushes gaseous imbalance in the atmosphere. This is how you break down a topic into the major causes. Now, causes you've mentioned, of course, you'll talk about them in detail if the talk is slightly longer. but make sure that you also top it up with effects of it. How does this affect people in general? How does it impact, So yes, we see it here. Number one, climate crisis is affecting all of us without us really noticing it. Millions of people lose their lives every year due to excessive heat or cold. Not just that, at this rate, our water bodies would dry up soon. Food resources might go scarce. And we would also face catastrophic natural calamities frequently. That's how you build up the suspense. You talk about the causes and eventually the corresponding effects, boys and girls. Now, after that, time for us to quickly add one more word to our vocabulary, abhor. Abhor is a verb in English language which means to hate, to regard something with disgust, with hatred, to hate something. So, for example, Natasha abhorred eating cereals. So, abhorred basically is another extreme word for hate. Moving on, participants, fastest fingers. Yes or no version. I'm going to give you a situation. All you've got to do is put on your thinking cap and tell me if this situation represents climate crisis or it doesn't. Number one, frequent forest fires due to rising temperatures. Obviously, that represents climate crisis, right? That's basically one of the effects of climate crisis. The second one, a sunny day during winter season. What do you think? Obviously, it isn't, right? A sunny day during winter season days, we have sunny days every day. So obviously, that isn't a very, very obvious indicator of climate change. Now, let me quickly give you an expert tip. When using facts, try mentioning the sources from where you have collected the data. All right, especially when you're speaking to an esteemed audience at a stage wherein you're being evaluated. It's important, ladies and gentlemen, that you verify your data, you proofread your data, and while quoting something from somewhere, please do mention the credible sources. Helps you sound more credible and believable to your audience. Moving on. Essential number three. Essential number one was bring out the importance of the topic. Second one was basically about talk about the topic and break it down. Break it down into two things, cause and effect. Cause and effect. The third essential, ladies and gentlemen, is bring it all together. How do you do it? Well, all I can say for this is that what steps can be taken, number one, towards resolution, and number two, the brighter side. As a TED speaker, I told you, you cannot give a problem-oriented approach. You can't be raving and ranting and fretting and fuming all the time. As a TED speaker, you're representing hope, a beacon of hope. And for that, you need to give a very solution-oriented approach, boys and girls. You have to make sure that you are actually giving your audience some concrete solution as a change agent, as an ambassador of growth. You give them some tangible reasons, practical solutions to the problem, no matter how gigantic the problem at hand is. So two things we do here. Number one, we talk about the steps and solutions. Number two, you try looking at the brighter side of life and the topic. For example, coming to the same topic again, climate crisis, what you can do here is you can say that we can all contribute in small ways towards conserving our climate, towards conserving our planet, and hence the climate. We can start by planting trees and looking after trees in our local areas. You can continue this by mentioning alongside planting more and more trees, we can look after the existing ones and prevent them from being cut for timber or other purposes. That's how you talk about the steps taken, steps that can be taken. You can also talk about that we can collectively urge world leaders to adopt eco-friendly ways of manufacturing goods. Cleaner fuels can be used. Paper and plastic can be recycled and reused. That's how you incorporate solutions in your talk, boys and girls. Not just that, let's see how we can incorporate the brighter side. The best way to actually incorporate an optimistic perspective in your speech is talk about something like this. If we take the necessary steps and let our planet heal from the damage we've done to it, we might be able to restore our planet to a healthy standard and can tackle climate crisis. Right? That's an optimistic statement you give, but that's possible only after you provide your audience with the solutions. Now, let me quickly ask you a question, boys and girls. The question is, which of these is affected due to climate crisis? Number one, plants and animals. Number two, humans. Number three, both one and two. Let me know in the comment section. Yes, we have some amazing comments pouring in. All right, absolutely. The answer is loud and clear, both one and two. The second question for you: why should we talk about climate crisis? Number one, because our climate right now, our planet is at serious risk. Number two, makes you appear informed. Number three, helps you in scaring the audience. Well, we know the answer is loud and clear. Again, it's because right now, in the current scenario, our climate is at serious risk. The planet is suffering from climate crisis. Now, as you all know, boys and girls, by the end of every episode, we give you something called Watch This TEDx, which means a recommendation. We know that the TED world happens to be so colossal that as a layman, as a newbie, it's difficult to cherry pick a TED talk to watch, especially on the theme that we're discussing today. So I am going to make it really simple for you. I'm going to give you something that you should be watching today. Please make it a point to watch it today so that you know exactly how to give a TED talk based on a topic. This one is an amazing TED talk by Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg happens to be a German 16-year-old, an environmental conservationist. She's also a climate change activist, somebody who's spoken at the United Nations Climate Change Summit on the speech called How Dare You? And we know she was quite a sensation last year when she challenged the global leaders against their actions on environment. And she's given an insightful TED talk called The Disarming Case to Act Right Now on Climate Change. Please do watch it, boys and girls. And now it's time for us to quickly summarize what we had done today. The agenda was all about a big purpose. We talked about the second fundamental of the TED talk, the big purpose. The first one was the introduction that we've done in the first 3 days. And coupled with this, we tried deconstructing the title, A Big Purpose, into 3 parts, emphasizing the importance of the topic, moving on to the breaking down, and finally bringing it all together. Let's quickly summarize this. Importance of a topic is brought out only when you talk about the urgency of it and the relevance of it for the audience. How do you break down a topic? You break it down by talking about the causes and the effects of it. And how do you bring it all together? You bring it all together by actually providing tangible solutions and by providing an optimistic perspective to the topic. Now, project work, I told you, boys and girls, when it comes to public speaking, the subtle art of public speaking, it's not about watching videos, watching episodes like this only, reading and just, attending workshops and seminars. Unless you do the work ruthlessly, the boots on the ground experience, you cannot become an effective public speaker. And for that to happen, you've got to take every opportunity, grab every opportunity to speak up in public and connect with the audience. So please make sure you implement all that you've learned today and you draft your script for the TED Talk on the title, Climate Crisis, and get ready to learn the fundamental. I'm going to be meeting you on Monday, boys and girls. So Saturday, Sunday, probably you'll have 2 days gap to maybe just summarize everything we've done in the last 5 days. So please make sure you take a sneak peek into all the content we had discussed in the last 5 days. I'm going to catch you on Monday with the third fundamental and how do we incorporate the topic, climate crisis, into the third fundamental. So the next topic is going to be all about a personal touch. How do you actually throw light on your personal experiences on a topic as objective as climate crisis? So, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we come to the end of today's episode. I take this opportunity to thank each one of you for being there, for your constant dose of encouragement, support, and motivation. Thank you so much for the love you've showered on us, and I really hope that these episodes will be of value to you right now as well as in future. Once again, I'm so grateful and glad and blessed to be your host for this series, for this episode called How to Be a Great TED Speaker. Thank you for joining in, ladies and gentlemen. Let's meet at the next episode with more energy, more excitement, more enthusiasm, and more importantly, more takeaways to carry with us. Let's remember, at the end of the day, it's all about the small wins. Let's celebrate small wins. Let's embrace the concept of daily incremental progress because that's the foundation of public speaking. It's not about making a big splash and delivering a talk before 10,000 people in just one go. It's about taking those baby steps towards becoming a more influential and impactful speaker. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great time ahead. Have a fabulous weekend. Good night. Take care and stay safe.